Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell. Welcome to another episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sara, head magic maker here at the Sisters Enchanted, and I'm bringing you a very short, quick episode today to tell you that we are in a waning crescent moon and to talk about creating the future under a waning crescent moon. If you're new here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe that when people live more intentionally, lead with intuition, and make everyday magic, we live more joyfully, we live soul-led lives, purpose-filled lives, and make the world a better place. And that's what we want to talk a little bit about today, what I want to talk about. Who's we? Like, I'm multiple Saras. I'm one Sara talking today on this solo quick tip episode. All right. Waning moons and creating the future. If you don't know anything about the lunar cycles, you want to listen to some past episodes, head over to our blog, thesistersenchanted.com/blog. Join us over in our free Facebook group, Expedition to Soul, because we talk a lot about working with the moon and we could tell you all about the whole lunar cycle. But today it's just about creating the future under a waning moon. So today specifically, if you're listening to this in real time, we are in a waning crescent moon. And the waning portion, that's the last 2 weeks of a lunar cycle, is when we're sort of recalibrating, we're reflecting, practicing gratitude, and kind of preparing for our next adventure into a new lunar cycle where we'll set an intention and do it all over again. And this waning portion, though, in particular, when we're in the last quarter of a lunar cycle, is an amazing time to create the vision for your future. So as we're working through lunar cycles, we're setting these intentions, we're creating them into being, we're doing all this really good work. And here, what we want to do is spend some time to think, what do I want my life to feel like? What do I want it to feel like? What was my intention for this lunar cycle? And how does that contribute to how I want my life to feel? How I want my body to feel? How I want my bank account to feel? How I want my relationships to feel? How I want my career to feel? How I want to feel healthfully or in knowledge of something? Just how do I want to feel? How do I want to live my everyday? Now, these questions, they aren't about knowing the answers. They are about questioning and exploring. For me, for example, how I want to feel free and spacious. Now, that can look about a bajillion different ways. Free and spacious can look like that could look like being married to a multimillionaire, so I never have to work and I'm free and spacious, right? Like, that's not happening though, because my husband's not a multimillionaire. But that could be what that looks like. Being free and spacious could also look like owning my own business where I set it up by design so that I can work from anywhere. And, that's what I do. So this idea that free and spacious, that isn't an answer to how I want my life, right? Like, that's not a picture I've painted. What I've done is I've put a feeling, how I want to move through my day, how I want to be. An intention could be maybe that you want to feel confident in your decisions. Maybe you're not quite sure yet which decisions you're going to feel confident in first, but you want to feel confident. So we work with these intentions over time. Like, one lunar cycle is not enough to do tons and tons and tons of deep work. You can do lots of powerful steps in a lunar cycle, but it's working with the lunar cycles over time, stacking your intentions and just starting to live in that way. So it just becomes who you are. Now, at this point in my life, living by the lunar cycles is just how I live. I don't even have to think about it. It's just who I am and what I do. So when we get to this part of the lunar cycle, this is where we're reflecting and we're preparing for the next lunar cycle. We're sort of like sweeping the kitchen floor, getting everything ready, everything's being tucked away, because we're going to start fresh again under the next new moon, which is not that far off. So here we want to consider, what does my future look like? How do I want to feel? And you can even start to dabble in the actual picture. Like, does that look like a house? Does it look like living in an RV full time? Does it look like living in this country? You can start to paint the picture. You can just be vague about it and think about how you want to feel. But we look at this as really creating. So like starting to to visualize what that's going to be for you. And you might want to, even during this part of a lunar cycle, grab some photos that represent how you want to feel. Maybe if you live near like a park or a forest or an ocean or something, and you want to get some natural objects from there and sort of create yourself a little space that represents how you want to feel. It's really like gathering this feeling in whatever way works for you, so that when you start to set your new moon intention again in a few days, you're ready to go and you know what you're creating toward. You know why you have that intention. So right now, it's really ideating the future. We call that ideation. Visualizing, putting things together. How does it feel for me, if I think free and spacious, how does it feel to live in my house and be free and spacious? How does it feel to travel and be free and spacious? How does it feel to, have pets and be free and spacious? How does it feel? A few years ago, I would have asked, how does it feel to have more children and be free and spacious? For me, that didn't feel free and spacious, so we did not have more children. We stopped after 2. But when you get to this phase, these are the questions to start to ask. What's my intention? Feel free and spacious. How do different things fit into that puzzle? Does it feel free and spacious to get a swimming pool? No. Why doesn't it feel free and spacious? Because it'll need to be cleaned constantly, because we have a well, so we can't run water into it. We'd always have to have water delivered. Nothing about that feels free and spacious. So we can start to filter our decisions and start to understand what our next intention is going to be, so that we don't just set a random intention like, I'm going to set the intention to save money for a swimming pool. Like, that would sound great, but if I really think about it, as I'm creating and I'm preparing and I'm reflecting and I'm resting and I'm practicing gratitude for the opportunities that I have, how did different ideas fit in to the intention of how I want to feel of being free and spacious? And that's where we're ideating. That's how we're like creating the vision for ourselves and starting to think, what's the next intention going to be? All right. So this is happening right now. If you're listening to this in the future, just go online, look at Google the moon phases and the waning moon. It's from the full moon to the new moon, that 2-week period. And anytime during that period, the waning moon period, is going to be great for this. But specifically from the 3rd quarter moon to the new moon, that 1-week period. It's a perfect time to do this work. All right. Thank you so much for listening in. We really appreciate it. If you want to learn more about all of this, you can head on over to thesistersenchanted.com/holistic witchery and get on our wait list to learn more about the moon phases, because we teach all about it in that class. So check that out over there. And until next time, I hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead.